Hi, this is Richard Chamberlain, and welcome back to the Protecting Your Family's Future podcast. This is episode number 22. Today we're going to be talking about how to pay for long-term care. Now, the first, 21 episodes of our podcast have covered basic estate planning principles. What's a will, what's probate, how do trusts work, all of those types of what we would call fundamental issues. This week, we're going to start kind of a mini series on long-term care issues involving nursing homes and in-home care, assisted living, how to pay for those, and how to protect your assets from those types of costs. Today, we're going to be talking about the three ways that long-term care can be paid for. Before we really get into this topic, though, I want to kind of set the stage a little bit. Number one, what is long-term care? That is really services that someone needs. Could be medical, could be non-medical care that is provided to people who are unable to perform the basic activities of daily living for themselves. Now, that can be in-home care, it can be in assisted living, it can be in a nursing home, it can be in the community. Lots of different ways that those services can be provided, but generally speaking, medical and non-medical care for people who basically can't take care of themselves at some level or another. Now, why should you care about this? You may be thinking, well, I don't need long-term care, I won't need long-term care. Well, maybe you will, maybe you won't. We don't know. The fact of the matter is about 70% of people over 65 will need some kind of long-term care. And, how long that will be and the level of care that it will be will, of course, depend on their circumstances. But 70% of people 65 and over will need some kind of long-term care. Now, talking about the cost, again, why do we care? Well, because this is very expensive care. Just looking at the average cost of care of the different levels in the Toledo area, we see that currently in-home care, the average in the Toledo area is about $4,000 per month, actually $4,004 per month, which translates to over $48,000 a year in cost. For assisted living, that average is $4,300 per month, which is about $51,600 per year. And a nursing home care, this is for a semi-private room, about $6,800 a month, or a little in excess of $82,000 per year. So that the cost does add up very quickly, and if you're not prepared for it, it can be pretty devastating to your savings. So let's talk about the three different ways that long-term care can be paid for. Number one is you can self-pay. If you've saved up enough money, you can just pay for that care, whether it's the $48,000 a year, the $51,000 a year, the $82,000 per year. You can pay for that care really until your money is gone, or until you no longer need that care for whatever reason. You can imagine, though, that with the level of expense associated with this care, that your savings will be eaten up pretty quickly. The other way that people can pay for long-term care expenses is through long-term care insurance. Now, this is insurance that you can buy through an insurance company, and it will pay generally a certain daily amount for long-term care expenses. You need to talk to a licensed and qualified insurance agent who's very familiar with long-term care insurance. It gets very complicated to create a plan that would be right for you, and we certainly recommend to our clients that they do talk to somebody about, is long-term care insurance something that, number one, I can qualify for, and number two, that I can afford. So that's the second way that people can pay for that care. The third way is through some kind of government program. Now, there's two kinds of programs that will pay for long-term care. Number one is Medicare, but that only pays a very limited amount, and only for care that you're receiving in a skilled nursing facility, and not more than 100 days worth. So if you're planning on Medicare covering the cost of long-term care, kind of put that out of your mind, because it won't. It'll cover a very small part of it for a very short amount of time. The other program is the Medicaid program, and that is not insurance. It does pay the cost of long-term care, but there are income qualification limits and asset qualification limits. You can't have too much money and you can't have too much income coming in order to qualify for that. So over the course of the next several weeks, we're going to be looking more at what those details are for qualification, how people go about doing that. Because really, what this is all about is, how do we protect the assets that we've accumulated? How do we protect them from being all spent up in a long-term care situation? How do we preserve them so that they're available for our spouse, or for our family, or to help take care of us? So as we go through this, we'll be exploring those options more. I hope today's been helpful for you in kind of looking at the ways long-term care is paid for, and we'll see you again next time. Thanks.